Ever feel like when you're trying to improve yourself, it's just like information overload?
Yeah.
Like a tidal wave of quick fixes and gurus promising you the world.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like you're drowning in 5 steps to happiness and all that.
It gets overwhelming.
I think our listeners are probably the kind of people who are looking for something a little deeper.
Right, exactly. Some real aha moments.
Yeah. So today we're doing a deep dive on Steve Pavlina and his book, Personal Development for Smart People. I love that title, by the way.
It's good.
It's assuming our audience is smart.
I like
I
it.
think it's going to resonate with everyone listening.
It will.
And Pavlina's background is really interesting. He has a computer science degree and specialized in artificial intelligence. Then he went on to run a computer games business.
Not your typical self-help guru, is he?
Not at all. But then he transitioned into personal development.
Interesting.
Yeah, built a huge following on his website, stevepavlina.com.
Impressive.
Totally free content. People just loved it, shared it through word of mouth.
And that's how you know it's good stuff.
That's right. And what he does that's so interesting is he's not just trying to fix the symptoms.
He's looking for the root cause.
Yeah, those deep questions.
What does it really mean to be human?
Yeah, a conscious being, and how do you guide that evolution
I like that.
intelligently? That's really what we're going to be exploring today.
Awesome.
Forget fad diets, quick fixes.
Mhm.
His core idea is that personal development for smart people is about really taking control of your growth by aligning with some fundamental principles.
Sounds like a good place to start.
So let's start with the first one,
Okay.
truth.
Okay, so how does Pavlina define truth in this context?
Well, he says that for real growth, you have to start with reality.
It's like that saying, you can't get to where you're going if you don't know where you are.
That's exactly what he says.
You can't chart a course to a new destination if you're not willing to admit where you're starting from.
Exactly. And he says our minds are actually designed to learn by bumping up against reality.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like when you have an experience that violates your expectation,
Oh, right, okay.
your brain has to update its model of how the world works.
Like recalibrating.
Yeah, and that's where the growth happens.
It's like actively seeking out those moments of surprise, things that challenge our current beliefs.
Totally. And your mind isn't just recording these individual events.
Right.
It's generalizing from them.
That's right, finding patterns.
Yeah, and Pavlina says that if you can become aware of this process of generalization,
Okay.
you can actually become more intelligent.
By understanding how our minds create these mental shortcuts and then seeking out experiences that challenge those shortcuts.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Staying stuck in a routine, doing the same things, reinforces those pathways.
Limits your growth.
It does.
And he says the accuracy of your internal models of reality,
Okay.
like how well your beliefs actually match up with what's real.
Right.
That determines how effective you're going to be in life.
So if your model's flawed, you're going to make bad decisions.
Yeah, if you have biases or you just don't want to face some facts,
You're going to stay stuck.
it's like trying to use a broken compass. It doesn't matter which way you go, you'll just end up lost.
Makes sense. So what are some ways we can actually stress test our internal models, make sure they're accurate?
Pavlina talks about honest expectation.
Oh, I like that. What is it?
You kind of have to take your emotions out of it
Right.
and just look at your life like you're an objective observer.
Okay.
Like if someone else was in your exact situation
Right.
with all your habits and choices,
Hmm.
what would you predict is going to happen to them?
That's a tough one.
It is. It's brutally honest but important.
It is, yeah. But I can see how valuable that would be.
And it forces you to face reality instead of hiding behind hopes and fears.
True, yeah. That's powerful.
He talks about self-awareness too,
Self-awareness.
which he calls truth awareness.
I like that.
And that means really understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, your biases, your desires, emotions, everything.
Wow, that's a lot to be aware of.
Yeah. And, your state of mind too.
Because if you're not aware of how those things are affecting you, you're going to make decisions that are not in your best interest.
Exactly.
And that's where a lot of those quick fix solutions fail.
He says that being in a higher state of consciousness,
Okay.
when you're clear-headed, calm,
Right.
that's the best time to make big decisions.
Because if you're in a lower state of consciousness, like if you're angry or afraid,
You can't think clearly.
you're going to misinterpret things. Your judgment's going to be clouded.
Exactly. You might make impulsive choices you regret later.
Makes sense.
And it's not just what's going on inside us, right?
Right.
There are all these external forces too.
Oh, like what?
Well, think about media manipulation.
Yeah.
And corporate interests, they're not always aligned with the truth.
Right. Sometimes they just care about the bottom line.
And that can lead to what Pavlina calls false learning,
False learning.
where you adopt beliefs that just aren't true.
And those beliefs can sabotage you.
Yeah, it can affect your decision making.
It can make you make decisions that aren't really in your best interest,
Exactly. So he urges people to question their beliefs constantly.
especially the ones they think are unshakable.
Challenge your assumptions.
Be open to new information,
Exactly. And he says even strong emotions can distort reality.
both positive and negative ones.
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're feeling super optimistic, you might miss red flags.
true. And if you're pessimistic, you might miss opportunities.
That's right. The goal is to make decisions when you're calm and rational,
Exactly.
not when you're caught up in the heat of the moment.
And I think fear is a huge part of why people avoid the truth.
Right. Fear can keep us stuck in unhealthy situations and bad habits.
It's scary to face those things.
It is, but if you don't acknowledge them, you can't change them.
He has this rating system. He says, think about different areas of your life, and if you can't honestly give it a 9 or a 10, it means you're not really satisfied.
Interesting.
Maybe you're even deceiving yourself a little bit.
Settling for mediocrity.
Exactly.
That's a powerful exercise, really forces you to confront those areas where you're not truly happy.
Yeah. And one really practical thing he suggests is journaling.
Journaling.
But he sees it as more than just keeping a diary.
Oh, okay.
It's a tool for self-discovery,
Right.
for really examining your thoughts and feelings.
It gives you that space to reflect and process what's going on inside.
Yeah, and he actually prefers journaling software
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
because you can search it, organize it.
Ah, that makes sense.
And to illustrate the importance of truth, there's this great poem,
Oh, what's it called?
The Guy in the Glass.
I've heard of that one.
It's about integrity, really looking at yourself and being true to who you are.
It's a reminder that the most important opinion is the one you have of yourself.
Exactly. Okay, so that's truth.
Okay, what's next?
Well, the next core principle is love.
Love.
But he doesn't just mean romantic love.
Oh.
He defines it in a really broad way. He calls it the conscious decision to connect.
Oh, okay.
And he says we can connect with people, of course,
Right.
but also with groups, objects, places, ideas, even activities,
Interesting.
simply by directing your attention.
So just by focusing your thoughts on something, you're making a connection.
Exactly.
That's a powerful idea.
And he says it's important to consciously choose connections that feel right.
Ones that align with your intuition.
Exactly. And to disconnect from things that are no longer serving you.
It's about being mindful of where you're directing your energy.
And for Pavlina, communication is the primary way we express love.
Okay.
And he points out the root of the word communicate.
Okay.
It means to share, to make common.
Right.
So real communication is about finding that common ground.
Understanding each other.
And he says that every relationship we have is ultimately an internal representation.
Internal representation.
Yeah, like how we see the world is really just a reflection of our own inner state.
So the way we relate to others is really just a reflection of how we relate to ourselves.
That's right. And that's why he believes that self-love is absolutely essential for having good relationships with others.
Makes sense. You can't give what you don't have.
Exactly. And he talks about the fear of vulnerability
Vulnerability.
as a big obstacle to connection.
Right, like being afraid to be truly seen.
Yeah, we put up walls to protect ourselves, but then we can't truly connect.
It's a paradox.
It is. And he tells this story about learning about love from his wife, Erin.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, he noticed how she interacts with everyone.
Okay.
Like they're already connected on some deep level.
Mhm.
Like they're all part of her.
I like that.
And it creates these really positive relationships.
It's like seeing the best in everyone.
And of course, compatibility matters in relationships.
Okay.
It's easier to connect with people who have similar values and interests.
Of course.
But he also says that differences can actually help us grow.
Oh, that's true.
And it's important to know when a relationship has run its course.
Sometimes you just grow apart.
Yeah. And to let go gracefully.
That can be hard to do.
He warns against just going through the motions.
Mimicking behaviors without actually feeling connected.
Exactly. He says to start with connections that are based on real compatibility
Okay.
and then gradually expand from there.
I like that approach.
And he has some really practical techniques for deepening connection,
Oh, like what?
like visualizing love flowing towards someone,
Okay.
actually picturing it,
I can see how that would help you feel more connected.
and then paying attention to that connection that's already there.
Hmm,
or even directing that same loving attention towards everyday objects.
really?
Yeah, he says it's like a practice in expanding your capacity for love
Wow.
and being direct, just telling someone you appreciate them.
It's so simple, but so often overlooked.
And he likes the sandwich method of feedback.
Oh, this sandwich
Yeah,
method.
from
What
Toastmasters.
is that?
You start with praise, give your constructive criticism, and then end with more praise.
Oh, so it's like cushioning the critique with positive reinforcement.
Exactly. It's a way to build stronger bonds.
Right, because you're acknowledging their strengths while also helping them grow.
And of course, gratitude is huge.
Gratitude.
Yeah, appreciating the good things in your life, it strengthens your connections.
That makes sense.
And he says that in the end, the feeling of separation is an illusion.
An illusion.
Yeah, that we're all interconnected.
Right.
And relationships are a way for us to learn to love ourselves.
Beautiful.
So we've got truth, we've got love, and the third principle is power.
Oh, okay, power.
And I think this is where things can get a little tricky.
Yeah, power can be a loaded word.
But Pavlina says it's about your ability to act and create the results you want in your life.
Okay.
He challenges the idea that powerlessness is a good thing.
Okay.
He says it's often rooted in fear or low self-worth.
Right. People might shy away from power because they associate it with negative things.
Exactly. But he says it's crucial to embrace your power, but use it wisely
It's not about controlling others. It's about having control over your own life.
and taking full responsibility for your life.
Responsibility.
Yeah, he says it's inescapable.
Even if bad things have happened to you.
Even then, you have to own your choices and actions.
That's tough.
Hmm.
But it's also empowering, right?
Exactly. You have agency, you can create your own destiny,
Right. You're not a victim of circumstance.
and you have the freedom to make choices.
Freedom of choice.
You don't need anyone's permission to go after what you want.
You're the captain of your own ship.
Exactly. And you have to make decisions even when you're not sure of the outcome.
Taking risks.
Yeah, the responsibility is still there no matter what happens.
Right. So how do you direct that power effectively?
Intention and purpose are key.
Intention and purpose.
Yeah.
It's about aligning your goals with your deepest values.
Exactly.
Finding work that is meaningful to you.
An effort.
Of course, you can't just sit back and expect things to happen.
He says the law of attraction is not enough.
Oh, interesting.
You have to take action.
Right. You can visualize your goals all you want, but you actually have to put in the work.
And self-discipline.
Discipline.
Being able to act even when you don't feel like it.
Right, because motivation comes and goes.
It's that backup system.
That inner drive that keeps you going even when it's tough.
And he says we often limit ourselves
How
by
so?
getting distracted,
Yeah.
by settling for less.
Hey, getting comfortable with the status quo.
We should aim for bigger goals
Don't be afraid to dream big.
and stop comparing yourself to others.
Oh, that's so hard.
It is. Just focus on your own progress.
Your own journey.
He talks about minimum standards.
What are those?
Those are the small daily actions that you do no matter what
In key areas of your life.
to keep moving forward.
It's about consistency, building momentum.
Yeah. And he suggests rewarding yourself
Mm.
at the end of the day
Oh, that's nice.
to reinforce those productive behaviors.
Makes sense.
And competition, he says, can be a good motivator for some people.
Competition.
Yeah, it can push you.
Right, you're striving to be your best.
And even if you don't win, you still grow in the process.
That's true. It challenges you to step outside your comfort zone.
And he shares this amazing story about a moment of oneness he experienced.
Oneness.
Yeah, like a profound sense of connection with everything.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
It was a glimpse of a much greater power.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And how did that experience change his view of power?
Well, he says it brought him a deeper understanding of empathy.
Empathy.
Yeah, really feeling the joys and sorrows of others.
That's powerful.
And compassion.
Compassion.
Yeah, that natural kindness and caring that comes from recognizing we're all connected.
Right, understanding that we're all part of the same human family.
And he tells this beautiful story about helping a homeless man.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Well, it was a really cold night, and this man was huddled on the street.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. And Pavlina felt this overwhelming sense of compassion, like he had to help.
So what did he do?
He went and bought the man a hot meal and a warm blanket.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And it wasn't just about giving him those things.
Right.
It was about recognizing their shared humanity.
That we're all connected.
Exactly. And oneness also involves honesty, fairness, and a desire to contribute.
Honesty, fairness, and contribution.
So it's like you see the world differently, you treat people differently.
Right, because you understand that their well-being is tied to your own well-being.
And he says cultivating oneness is both a mental choice and an emotional choice.
Mental and emotional.
You have to make that shift in your thinking and in your feeling.
Right. It's not just about understanding it intellectually, it's about feeling it in your heart.
And he suggests things like visualization
Okay.
and spending time in nature,
Yeah, that always helps me feel more connected.
meditation, and even physical contact.
Physical contact.
Yeah, like hugging someone or petting an animal.
Right. Those simple acts of affection can be so powerful.
So we've got truth, love, power, and the next principle is authority.
Authority.
What does he mean by that?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear his take on that.
He's pretty clear about it.
Okay.
The only real authority in your life is you.
You yourself.
Not your parents, not your boss, no one.
That's a bold statement.
It is you're in command
Okay.
of your life.
So what role do external authorities play then? Like teachers, mentors, experts?
They can offer guidance, but ultimately you decide what to do with that information.
Right. You get to choose what resonates with you and what to apply to your own life.
And he talks about mistakes and failures.
Oh, yeah, we all make those.
But he says they're not bad.
They're learning opportunities.
Yeah, like you're a programmer of your own life and you're constantly debugging.
I love that analogy.
He tells the story about learning to code.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, it was all trial and error.
So you learn by making mistakes and figuring out how to fix them.
And he stresses that becoming good at anything takes time.
It does.
Persistence is key.
Don't give up easily.
He talks about his own business struggles, first 5 years, lots of failures. But he kept going.
Wow, that's inspiring.
And he says real confidence is not arrogance.
Right.
It's a deep, soulful knowing of your own power.
Rooted in truth.
Exactly. He says denying your power doesn't make you any less responsible.
That's true. You can't escape the consequences of your choices, even if you try to pretend you don't have any power.
And aligning with truth and power means making choices with awareness of the consequences.
It's about stepping into that responsibility.
And experimentation is encouraged.
Experimentation.
Yeah, try things out, see what works.
Not just blindly following advice.
He talks about his polyphasic sleep experiment.
What's that?
Oh, it's where you sleep in multiple short bursts throughout the day,
Oh, wow. Interesting.
instead of one long sleep at night.
Did it work for him?
Yeah, for a while.
Oh, that's amazing.
The point is, he was willing to experiment, see what worked for him.
Right. Everyone's different.
And he says, trust your own judgment.
Even when experts disagree.
Even then.
You have to weigh the evidence and make your own decisions.
And true power comes from within.
From your heart.
He says chasing external security can actually make you feel powerless.
Because you're relying on things outside of yourself.
Exactly. It's like giving your power away.
So how do you reclaim that power?
By being honest about what you want.
Honesty.
Asking for it directly.
Okay.
Even if you get rejected.
It's better to be rejected than to live with regret.
And directness builds trust.
It does. It shows that you're not afraid to be vulnerable.
And it can lead to opportunities you never expected.
That's right. When you're authentic, you attract people who appreciate that.
He says playing it safe by avoiding rejection can make you feel trapped.
Right. You're limiting yourself.
Building courage is the smarter choice. And he says courage strengthens your connections.
Interesting.
He suggests committing in advance.
Admitting in advance.
Yeah, like deciding you're going to do something that takes courage before you feel ready.
Okay.
He gives this example of joining a humorous speech contest
Ah, yeah. That would definitely take courage.
and consciously facing your fears.
Like a milestone on the path to a courageous life.
So that's authority. Taking charge, learning from mistakes, being persistent, embracing courage.
And what about intelligence?
Intelligence. This one's really interesting.
On all ears.
He doesn't just mean like your IQ.
Okay.
He defines intelligence as the integration of truth, love, and power.
Integration.
It's not just about knowing stuff.
Right.
It's about aligning your actions with those principles.
So how does that work in practice?
Well, truth helps you grow.
Right.
Love allows you to connect authentically.
Okay.
And power lets you take effective action.
It's like a holistic approach to intelligence.
And authenticity in your interactions is key.
Being true to yourself.
He tells this story about losing friends
Oh, no.
when he started being more authentic.
Right. Sometimes when you change, the people around you don't always change with you.
Yeah. And he realized those relationships weren't really serving him.
They weren't true connections.
Exactly. And when you grow, you inspire others.
That's a nice thought.
It creates a positive ripple effect.
I like that.
And he says, the most intelligent thing you can do is to grow.
That's a great takeaway.
And he also talks about flow,
Flow.
that state where you're completely absorbed in what you're doing,
Oh, yeah, I felt that before.
and things just seem to happen effortlessly.
Like you're in the zone.
He says it happens when truth, love, and power are aligned.
Makes sense?
And he says that intelligence is beautiful at
Beautiful.
discovering a fundamental law of nature.
I can see that.
And he encourages us to look for these principles in our lives
To notice where they're present and where they're absent.
and how their absence creates problems.
Like when you're out of alignment with truth, you might feel lost or confused.
Exactly. And then he has all these great questions for self-reflection.
Oh, I love a good self-reflection question. What are some of them?
Okay, so for truth, what beliefs might be inaccurate? What media fast can I try?
Those are good ones. What about love?
How can I connect with someone? How can I show appreciation?
Okay, those are all about building connections.
For power, what small commitment can I make? What area can I take more responsibility for?
Okay, taking ownership.
And authority, what experiment can I conduct? What habit no longer serves me?
Stepping into your power. What about courage?
What worthwhile opportunity have I been avoiding? How can I express myself more openly?
Facing your fears. And intelligence.
Am I aligned with truth, love, and power?
Uh,
Are my interactions authentic?
Checking in with yourself. And what about overall growth?
How can I improve myself today? That's a big one.
That's the ultimate question.
And he doesn't stop there. He also gives practical exercises.
Oh, I like that. Give us some examples.
For truth, you could identify some potential false beliefs and question them.
Okay, put them to the test.
Or try a 30-day media fast.
That's a good one, to clear your mind and see things more clearly.
For love, send a handwritten card. Start a conversation with a stranger.
Those are nice, simple ways to connect with others.
Find a creative way to say, I love you. Give an unexpected gift.
Spreading the love.
For power, make a small commitment.
Okay.
Or create a detailed plan for a goal.
Planning is key.
Or start a personal project.
Something that gets you excited and motivated.
For authority, you could cancel a non-serving activity, volunteer to lead a project,
Taking charge.
conduct an experiment, or wear an outfit you like, even if other people might not.
Expressing your individuality. What about courage?
Make a new request after being rejected.
Okay, not giving up.
Identify a scary but worthwhile opportunity and take a small step.
Taking a leap of faith.
Or express an honest feeling.
Being vulnerable.
And for intelligence, he suggests doing one thing from each principle
Oh, a growth blitz.
in a week.
Intense.
And he has this exercise called Cultivate an Intelligent Microcosm.
That sounds interesting. What is it?
You add a new activity to your life.
Okay.
And from the very beginning, you align it with truth, love, and power.
Ah, so you're consciously building it in from the start.
Exactly.
I like that.
And he talks about the importance of conscious choice
Conscious choice.
and how you spend your time.
Right, it's your most valuable resource.
Okay, so now he takes all these principles
Okay.
and applies them to different areas of life.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Is starting with habits.
Habits.
He calls them the mind's time management system.
Okay.
Because once you have a habit,
It becomes automatic.
your subconscious takes over.
Right. Host.